Welcome to Shit Talk with Nick and Wendy today. Um, I wanted to invite everyone in and talk about the paradox of tolerance. Continue talking about some of the gross ass shit that is going on in our country right now and the mainstreaming of pedophilia and how disgusted by it we are. Um, and maybe go into some more of the AI stuff if we got time. Because Wendy, you and I love having some discussions on tech, and there's a lot of scary things going on right now. And as always, we'll end with a happy note on a poem and a call for community and growth and getting together. So, Wendy, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Um, Rather stormy here. I apologize for the noise in the background.
No, storms happen.
Yeah, I wish it were
Obviously,
that.
not stormy here.
Yes, I wish it were that pretty here. It's pretty where you are here. I wish it were that pretty now.
Yeah, you know, I'm hoping it stays pretty today. It's been a good day so far. Um, Not a ton of wind. So good. I'm glad you're doing well today. So I wanted to talk a little bit with you about paradox tolerance. And for anyone who doesn't know what that is, the paradox of tolerance is partially how we got here in American society. Um, but it's this idea, it's this paradox that you have to tolerate all opinions as equal weight as though they're all valid. And if you do not tolerate somebody's opinion, you become intolerant yourself. Um, and I want to push back on that idea, and I want to get your thoughts on it, Wendy, before I go into my own. What do you think about the paradox of tolerance? And do you think it's played any role in our current society?
I, Here's the thing about that: the notion that tolerance requires accepting all viewpoints as equally valid creates a philosophical loophole in American discourse that happens um, into contradiction. And that's not academic wordplay. That's tension that erupts between people. Um, so let's just deductive reasoning. If we must tolerate all perspectives to be truly tolerant, then we must also tolerate intolerance itself. But tolerating intolerance undermines the foundation of tolerance as a concept utterly. That's like demanding that a garden welcome flowers and weeds um, that will strangle the flowers that are in the garden, claiming both deserve space. Um, and the problem with that is it creates an intellectual trap where questioning things becomes heretical. So
Hmm.
that leads you to question like, where does that put people like me? I'm a trans woman. I want people to tolerate. I, I I will even say that I don't expect people to tolerate me. I just expect people to allow me to live and survive.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. Um, Especially on the idea of tolerance is it's you don't have to tolerate people. You just have to let people live and survive. And I don't think that's tolerance. I mean, that's empathy because you're willing to look at other people um, and go, oh, I can see where they might be coming from, and then let them live. Um, but I agree. I think the paradox of tolerance is an interesting one, just in general, because, like you said, it's not, we don't have to tolerate intolerance. And you don't become intolerant just because you don't tolerate intolerance. Like, let's use our common example that everybody tends to use, but it's also super pertinent to our day right now. Nazis, Nazism. You 10 years ago, people did not tolerate openly Nazism. It was outside of the social norm. It was outside of the community's agreed upon social contract that we tolerate good ideas, but we don't tolerate shitty, terrible ideas that hurt each other. Like we learned the idea of never again. That's an intolerant viewpoint because I don't tolerate the idea of Nazis. Like you are socially unacceptable because on a moral and ethical level, you're wrong. And as a community, we have accepted that you're wrong. Right now, we're in a period where because we tolerated too many ideas and we said every idea has equal weight and equal footing, we didn't push the bad ideas out. We let them back in. And we said, yeah, you're okay to have those ideas. We can't tell you you're not allowed to. And we have to tolerate it. It's okay now that you have those ideas, but it's not. Like that's the thing. It's not okay. It's not okay to be a Nazi. It's not okay coming into some of our next topics to be a pedophile. It's not okay to be a fascist. It's not okay to think you're better than other people just because you're smart or you own a big tech company or you bought a big tech company and a social media platform and your ego is the size of the fucking universe and nothing can stop it because you're just a black hole of nothingness. Elon Musk, I'll call you out by name because you're a piece of shit. And if you know the difference between a Roman salute and a Nazi salute, you're a Nazi. Um, so, like, sorry, I can't tolerate those people. I cannot tolerate Nazis and people like that because they're wrong. They're morally and ethically wrong. And that's what we have to remind people. We have to remind people that that's wrong. But we can't just be against something. And that's the next step is you have to be for something too. I'm against Nazis, but I'm for community. I'm for people taking care of each other. And I think a lot of people miss that next step of what are we actually for? So, Wendy, what are you for
Well, in line with
in this context too?
right, in this context, this isn't moral relativism. Um, so when you mention the paradox of tolerance, I think we're probably talking about Popper, Karl Popper.
I think I don't know who said it originally.
Yeah, he's the one. I'm fairly certain he's the philosopher that normally iterated that. But here's what that situation asserts: that a truly tolerant society must be intolerant of forces that would demolish it entirely. And that's
yes.
not moral relativism, that's moral survival. But to
Yeah,
answer,
that's survivalism in
yeah,
general.
yes, exactly. Um, as to what I believe their empathy far, far exceeds the need for tolerance. And the reason that I say that is tolerance is surface level permission. I'll let you
Yeah.
be here, even though I disagree with you.
Yeah.
Empathy goes a layer lower than that. And from an element of shared humanity, um, you understand people's fears, hopes, and how they think. And the crucial distinction becomes empathy doesn't require agreeing with someone's conclusions, but it demands an understanding for how those conclusions were arrived.
Exactly. Exactly. I think, and even going a layer deeper into this, not below it, but into this, it's something that I taught and learn about I go to a group therapy. I go to a veteran service group therapy, and I'm part of the VA. As many of you in the audience that know, I'm a disabled veteran. I went to Afghanistan in 2013. I have some issues, just like most vets do. But I go to an incredible group therapy that talks about these things. And one of the things that stood out to me 2 weeks ago, I think it was, in a session. And I won't, and it was something that I talked about, which is why I can talk about it, because it's my story and my feelings on it and nobody else's, is we were learning about, and I've been in this group for over a year, so I know these things, but I'm relearning them to remember them. Because we were learning about the difference between feelings and emotional distress tolerance, but how to talk about our feelings. And two major categories came up that I think drive totally into the heart of empathy are guilt and shame. And there's a difference between the two of those two. And and I want to talk about those a little bit. And I want to get your opinions on what my thoughts are here. Is so there's guilt and shame are very similar emotions, but they have a subtle difference between each other. Is guilt is personal. Guilt is you feel guilty. You feel the emotion. You feel, let's say I misgender Wendy. I accidentally did it on a snap. Um, my autocorrect misgendered Wendy for me on accident yesterday. And it was, instead of saying she, it said he or he's. And I automatically afterwards said she. Like I corrected myself and put it in. I felt guilty for accidentally misgendering Wendy, even though it was an autocorrect, because it's an internal feeling. Had I left that there and just left it as is without correcting myself, I would have then been shamed, which meant the community would have pushed back on me. And I would have been pushed out of the community because I did something that the community finds unacceptable. I caught myself because one, I saw it immediately and was like, oh shit, that's not what I meant to do. I don't want to misgender Wendy. But had I meant it, the community would have shamed the shit out of me and pushed me out like that. And that's the difference. And that's where empathy comes in, is because you can understand and you can shame the fuck out of people. And I think we need to start doing that again. What are your thoughts, Bundy? That was a loaded question in all of
I
this. I hope you're okay with me using yesterday's example. I don't even know if you saw
no,
it
no, no.
yesterday either.
And I want to be clear too. From the I've had to have this conversation a few times.
And
um,
you and I probably never had this conversation.
no,
So,
no, no. And so here's the thing. I want to be very clear with people. I don't take misgendering from individuals for whom I respect or whom I care, much less for whom I love, negatively, because I understand we're all just human beings. You're not shaking your finger in my face and you're saying, "You'll never be a woman and you're a man." Okay, that's the misgendering that I can't. But here's the thing. When you
yeah.
talk about guilt versus shame, guilt is the thing that says you made a mistake.
Hmm.
Shame is the thing that says you're a fucked up person.
And you made a mistake and everybody else knows it.
And so, as a community, embracing accountability without shame by asserting guilt and saying, I saw that you did this. I did not like this. It affected me. And then um, I say that what happened was hurtful. Um, but um, I then say to you, I say, no matter how much that hurt, no matter what damage that caused, and in my case, not much, but you're still a worthy human being because you're a human. Humans make mistakes. The consequences that restore rather than destroy, listening instead of acting, opportunities for genuine repair instead of just permanently pushing somebody out of the community. It's one thing for somebody to come at me and transphobically rant up, down, left, right, and sideways. I'm gonna block that person. I have a right not to have a relationship with that person, whatever that
Exactly.
whatever that relationship is. But what must hold true is the community holds two truths evident in that case. Harm happened and redemption is always possible. Always.
I
And that's the
see.
thing.
I
One
see a
other thing,
comment.
right? Yeah, one
Yeah,
other
go
thing,
ahead.
right?
Go.
Harm is an entirely relative. It can be this big, it can be that big.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes a lot to, in the end, is intent. I think as you were talking, I think it was you talking about it the other day, was you have to be, it was you or somebody else was talking, you have to be willing to understand, go past just the comment online sometimes, um, and be willing to see, is that person intentful or are they actually trying to learn? Like, are they asking questions to learn, not to hurt, but because they just don't know and they're really truly curious? Um, and Morgan, you put in a good comment right there at the end, is still trying to learn patience. I think patience goes a long way in it because patience and empathy don't ever mean agreeance. They just mean understanding. And I don't have to agree with you to understand that you have a point and you have a idea or you have a viewpoint or a philosophy. I don't have to agree with it. I'm going to tell you you're wrong if you're wrong. Like, I'm not going to sit there and let you have shitty ass ideas and not tell you you're wrong to your face. Um, like we have to get past. I guess a question is then for you, Wendy, and this sort of is going to lead into our next topic on the pedophilia stuff and the normalizing of that, because that's a big part of what's going on right now in our society. Is do you think, not criminally, and I'm not saying like death sentence or things like that. I don't really want your opinion too much on that. I more want on the moral side and um the like our communal side. Do you think we have been too soft and too accepting as a community? Um, or, and do you think there's things we can do to make that better? I don't know if I lost you.
I'm I'm I'm
Oh, there
trying
you
to
are.
think. Yeah, I was it's really storming here. I'm trying to
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
um I was trying to think about this. So okay, long story short, um taking the trans issue. Um I'll be
Yeah,
quick. I'll be quick about this. So when someone misgenders me, um what lives behind the words that a person says that. And so um, to your credit, intent entirely matters. A grandmother with her grandchildren who um, misgenders me and says he or boy or man or whatever, um, I'm less likely to pay attention to that, especially if I know that person genuinely cares. The problem is, and I think this was talked patience, but patience has limits. It's not bottomless, and it does drain you. But uh, to the point, as a community, um, we're dealing with a pendulum swing. Swings one way, swings another. Um, and the rot that we are talking about, because we've been maybe too soft, the communities that whisper about the bad things or, you know, lightly touch them rather than just pushing them out. I, I'm going to be honest. This is a very painful thing to say. That's absolute cowardice. It is absolute cowardice to not try as a community to eliminate the bad things that exist in that community as a whole. And so, what do we need to change? And so, there's a couple of things. there need to be consequences when someone causes someone else genuine harm in a community. So if we're leading into the pedophilia discussion, this is exactly that. Um, no more endless like processing circles over and over and over again, um, just because somebody touched something that they weren't supposed to. Um, no more. He's going through a lot right now. We need to give him a break. Or, you know, that was totally an accident. None of this gaslighting bullshit. And then
Yeah,
we need to distinguish between learning and weaponizing. So a person genuinely trying to unlearn harmful patterns deserves patience and support. A person who, uh, using uh, growth mindset to validate why they are doing something, how they're doing it, and then use it to excuse it is not. The third thing, we need to rehabilitate healthy anger. Rage at injustice isn't toxic. It's necessary to fuel that change. Um, communities need people who are willing to say, no, I'm not going to do this, and neither are you. I literally, before we started this live, my reader Julie dragged me into a conversation where a hard right wing idiot decided to say, I don't get Christian leftists, blah, 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 blah. I sat that fucker down. Because healthy anger, healthy rage, healthy direction creates communities that thrive. And on top of that, centering the harm. The person who's hurt, that's the person who needs to be in the center of the community, not the person who is causing the harm. We stop asking people shit like, what about his career? And what if it ruins his life? If you touch something,
exactly.
if you touch something you weren't supposed to, you did that the moment that you did it. I tell people iteratively as a
Hmm.
as a gray hat hacker. I hate to quote not a very old Michael Caine movie, but I'm going to get Carter. If you did something and that something brought me into your space, you did something to bring me there, and you did something to deserve that action. Um, and the goal is not to be cruel; it is to be precise, to eviscerate the piece of the community that is causing the problem.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'll tie it into the title of one of my poems from this week was um abscise the list. And I taught people a new word. I got a comment from a gentleman back going, I've been around for a long time and you taught me a new word today. Abscise means to cut away. We have to think of this as a wound. We have to think of community as a living thing, as a being, as us. We are the community. We as people, as humans, as our pets, as our society, as the individual, we're part of a greater whole. It's that idea of, like Spock said, uh, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. It's a very selfless thing and it's very hard to do, but it all goes, I think it all ties back into what we were talking about before is empathy, shame, guilt, the community feelings, but it's also about self-worth. It's also about valuing yourself and accepting that you're worth being part of the community and that the community is something worth being a part of in general and it's worth fighting for. And fighting doesn't mean violence. Fighting doesn't mean hurting people. Fighting means actively participating and actively doing something to better the community. It's about bettering the community because it's more than just you. We live in a society. We don't live alone. Humans are not solo animals. We're tribal. We're look at all the other mammals that are like us. We're tribal in nature. Humans are always been tribal. We've gone too big in our tribal views too quickly without assessing what damage that might cause to the psyche. We lost a lot of our localized tribalism. We became a national identity, and then we told ourselves we had to be a global power and a global identity. But in doing that, we lost all of our little communities along the way. And you can see it with like closures of YMCAs or Boy Scouts went really bad, or there's no good young boys clubs anymore. There's no reading groups. Like people stopped doing knitting groups or things like that, where there were small communities together. We became so internet focused that we lost it. But I think things like this are bringing that back because we're recapturing what's important to us. Like some of us live really close together in this community and we know each other now, or we've met each other once, or we've now seen each other. We talk to each other live, and we're making our national community small again. And we're reconnecting to what's important and remembering what's worth fighting for. Wendy is worth fighting for. Lisa is worth fighting for. Miranda is worth fighting for. I'm worth fighting for. And it starts with you. You have to tell yourself you're worth fighting for and that you're worth being part of this community. And it's not about America as a nation, it's about Americans as people and as friends and as communities. And I love what we're doing because we're breaking through that. And it breaks into the pedophilia stuff because I have to say, this is the most outrageous thing I have ever heard. I'm a veteran. I'm going to keep saying I'm a veteran because it disgusts me to my fucking core that our government is approving of and protecting pedophiles who are not only pedophiles, but are foreign backed agents destroying our country on top of it. They are using pedophilia to destroy our country. Like, that's what it is right now. They're literally normalizing the idea that it's okay for men to hurt girls. And I want to keep using the word girls over women or young women because they're not young women, they're girls. And I hate it when everyone talks on the internet and goes, these young women got abused. No, these girls got fucking raped. These girls got taken advantage of and their lives were ruined. Yeah, some of them might have been young women. Some of them might have been over 18. They're still fucking girls right now at this point because they were groomed into it. They weren't just brought there, they were groomed into it. They were groomed into this bullshit because our society has decided that men like me get to go, oh, sweetie, come sit on Uncle Nick's lap or go sit on Grandpa's lap. We know he's a little weird or go hug this person. No, fuck that. Your body, your fucking choice. Nazi Nick Fuentes said, your body, my choice. Well, fuck you, Nazi Nick. Your body, your choice. And Nick Fuentes, your body, because you're a fucking asshole, your choices, I'm gonna fucking kick your ass one day. And that's not a threat. That's just me saying, I'm gonna verbally beat you down one day if I have to. I'll do it right now. You're a fucking Nazi prick. But you know what? Keep calling Trump out because although you're a Nazi prick, if you get the other Nazis to hate him too, I'm okay with that. Because then he'll fall. And then we can fucking get rid of you guys. Anyway, that was a huge tangent, Wendy. But I'm so pissed off about all of this and the normalization of it. And I've got a daughter. What the fuck am I supposed to tell my daughter?
Right.
How am I supposed to protect my daughter when the president and the Supreme Court and members of Congress like Jim fucking Jordan, Jim Bag, fucking predator protecting people who got raped at OSU, Ohio, wrestlers, men, young men got raped and abused in that one. We can't forget that this isn't just a girl problem. This is a boy problem too. boys and girls get groomed every fucking day in this country, and it's disgusting, and we need to stop it. And I think as a community, we can do that. I think we can start pushing back on communists as a community because groups like us know that it's wrong. And groups like us can go out and be vocal. Groups like me, who look like me and have more privilege than some other groups, we can use that. Like, I'm a veteran, I'm a patriot, I'm a combat veteran, and I'm telling you, pedophilia is fucking wrong and it needs to get pushed out of our goddamn society because men need to stop fucking taking advantage of girls and women needs to stop taking advantage of girls and grooming them when they were groomed in. And I know it fucking sucks and there's a vicious, vicious fucking cycle we have to break, but there is something cancerous in our country that needs to be excised from it and cut away because it's gross. And only once it's cut away can we begin healing. We need to stop tolerating the intolerable and cut the shit out.
I completely agree. I should point out that Miranda raised an interesting point earlier that reads right into this.
Okay.
And I wrote an article.
I can't see the chat too well, so
I'm keeping up with it. So I wrote an article about this about a year ago, and I never did. I think I posted it on Medium. I don't remember, but here's how it is. So Miranda's question was, how do we manage lateral community and lateral accountability instead of depending on top-down power structures? And so, how you do that in
that's
a
a great
community
question.
is everybody holds a piece of responsibility for the health of the community. A doctor, a baker, a whatever. No single authority figure decides who belongs in the community and who doesn't. There's a shared collective mindset, and that mindset is we're a
Wait, are
community.
you saying community is communal?
Yes.
Oh, what an amazing
Yes.
fucking concept.
Right.
I love it, Wendy. Thank you. Keep going. Sorry. I had
The
to bring that
concept
in.
of community asserts, that do you want to be a member of the community? Come into our community and contribute. Everybody has something to contribute. So
everybody has value. Everybody has worth just being yourself.
So
sorry.
The causation for that is to create mutual accountability. And so how do we do that? We create webs, not vines. I use Druid references all the time. Peer feedback circles where members can check in with each other is a lot better than up and down dynamic. Transparent processes. Rotate.
Exactly.
Everyone rotate the leadership. Term limits in Congress, whatever. Collective wisdom. Here's the thing. So when you're talking about the normalization of pedophilia, and that's something that I have a very strong belief in. Here's the thing you can't do anything about. You can't eliminate predators. You
can't.
You can't. They exist across all communities, but what you can do is you can make your community inhospitable to them. And so
exactly,
you create transparency. Predators thrive on a lack of transparency. So there's communication. And so the way Miranda posed it was when their kids were young, and I did this too with Gizmo, and I do this with my other kids. If someone gives you affection and you don't want it, you have a right to say no, and you should say no.
Yep.
And there's a collective radar. Communities often sense danger before even concrete evidence comes out. A person makes others uncomfortable. Someone is seen with an unusual behavior. Who pushes boundaries playfully? Oh, I playfully touched the woman, the girl in an inappropriate way. You don't dismiss that. It's not paranoia. You can trust but verify, but you do verify.
Yep.
And then boundaries, and then remove access. If people are predatory, you can't participate in community events. You can't be a leader. You can't have unsupervised context with contact with people. Predators return to often only return if those pathways are open. This is why, and I hate to say this, church leaders who abuse kids, because they're allowed into those spaces.
Yes.
And then, and here's the hard part, because this almost never happens, support survivors visibly. When victims speak up, people tend to believe that. E. Jean Carroll, that woman has not shut up about how Trump raped her, and I'm glad that she hasn't.
Nope, she
Um,
hasn't, and I'm glad you same. Exactly.
um, so then, outside of that, educating people relentlessly, building accountability, and the harsh truth is this: some people cannot be reformed or reasoned with, and my job, your job, anyone else's job is not to heal someone who is a predator. It is to protect your community from them. I have had to do that today in my community here in this electronic space 4 times today already, and I will continue to do so.
And that's what we need to do. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed, especially on the male side of this spectrum. Is there are a lot of women who are willing to help other women and believe other women. There are a lot of men who instantly don't. And that's a problem. And this space, and I'll say it very clearly for this space, I believe women. I believe people when they come and tell me that something has happened that's inappropriate. I believe them. I believe them because one, I'm we've all been pretty much every one of us has been abused some way, somehow in our lives. Fucking believe people. Like, it's easy to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. And yes, verify, but believe them. Give them empathy because you've probably been there too in a slightly different way. And a lot of men need to remember that it's our place. And if you're a man in this audience and or you hear this later, you were taught growing up to protect, provide, and defend as a male. Those are the 3 main male like tropes. You know what protecting and defending and providing for means? It means fucking believing people when they tell you that they got hurt or something happened and then doing something to prevent it from happening in the future. I tell my kids all the time, if something happens, you tell me and I will believe you because I do. Until you've been proven wrong, I'm going to believe you. Don't sit quiet. It's the reason we have fascism standing at our door, watching over us right now. It's the reason we have all of this is because we got too soft in being willing to stand up and say no. And men forgot what it meant to protect those they love and provide. And to me, protecting means belief. How can I protect you if I don't believe you? And if I can't protect you, there's fucking going to be able to provide for you. So believe what people have to say and then take the next step, like Wendy said, is do something, is do the thing because community thrives when we care. It's the same thing with democracy. We get the democracy we vote for. And if we don't vote or if we don't put in the legwork to get a democracy, democracy is just community on a national scale. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. But just like a community, there's compromise and somewhere in the middle, somewhere that actually values life and not middle as in, oh, middle is we don't accept gay marriage for now and we put it as you can get a civil union. That's not the middle. The middle is everybody deserves to be fucking happy and have the same equal rights. From there, we find the middle of the road. From there, we find what is acceptably tolerable as a society to restrict bad behavior, not conditionalize good behavior, but to incentivize the good and to conditionalize the bad, criminalize, and use what we're supposed to do as a community. That's what the courts are supposed to be. They need to be more localized in terms of community first needs to say fuck no, and then all of this becomes unnecessary. Yes, Miranda, that is an incredibly good point. Compromise doesn't necessarily mean centrism.
I
I don't
think
I don't
uh,
compromise on my morals. My morals are rigidly strong. I believe in my morals. I know what's right and wrong. I don't compromise on those. I don't compromise that humans have the right to exist. That centrism is policy decisions on taxes. Human rights are not policy. Human rights are human. And until we fucking figure that out, that's it.
I
Sorry, Wendy, come in because I'm gonna pause my video for a second while I grab my computer,
yeah, of
so that
course.
I can get ready to do our poetry reading for the day.
Oh,
But
good.
I want you to. We didn't get into some of the topics, and I'm totally fine with that because we've had a great discussion, especially around community, and I want to keep that going, and get some more of your thoughts and what we can do to be for something and how we can together as a group as this group start building our local in-person groups also, um, to continue pushing back on this. So I'll be right back. Wendy, I'll let you take over for a minute. Um,
You're far too kind, Ned. Um, I think that to Nick's point about women helping women and not men, this is a historical issue. This is something that women's survival depended on male protection and approval. Laws stripped women's rights, economic independence, legal personhood, even. And so a woman's fate was tied directly to a father or a husband. Displease that husband and it disappears. And so, because of that patriarchy, um, women existed in a world where our credibility constantly gets questioned. How was I dressed? How was I acting? Did I deserve the treatment that I got? Did I, you know, um, there's a congressman who literally at one point said, when a woman gets raped, she has biological processes that stop her from getting pregnant. It's bullshit. And so it creates a solidarity from within, the necessity of women behaving together. Women pool resources. We share warnings about dangerous people. We create networks of mutual protection. Um, Men, meanwhile, just benefit because of the whole patriarchy bullshit. That patriarchy rewards them with power and credibility and advantage. And I will say this: the Druidry, as a Druid, the sect of Druidism that I believe in is very matriarchal. And I don't believe that in a matriarchy that puts women with a higher amount of power over men, but rather just a larger degree of equality. And so, um, I think that that is what is necessary. Oh, Nick, you should totally invite Miranda into the live if you're going to read poetry, by the way.
oh, absolutely, I will. Give me a second. I'm just pulling up. I'm actually gonna do. I'm gonna do a special on this, and I'm gonna actually read all three in
Cool. Wow.
the
Okay.
new sonnet series that I have. Let me get them in order. Okay, let me get figure out. There you are, Miranda. Sorry, got a lot of things going on. My phone decided it's going to go a little slow, but I think we got Miranda. There you are. He's coming online.
I wanted you to listen to him and be able to comment in live.
Thanks for coming on, Miranda. I appreciate it. I love your
Yeah,
work. Um, if you're one of my subscribers and you're not subscribed to Miranda, please do before we get into poetry. Please subscribe to all three of us. If you're not, we would love all of us love the subscriptions, follow along, but it also helps get this message out and build the community stronger and invites more people in. And that's the point, is we want to build this. I want to build this because my side of the community kind of sucks in a lot of ways, and we need to address our issues, but we need to do it in a way where it's actually listening to the needs of what others want. And hopefully, this is helping in that process. Um, and so these poems are not about community. I know most of our topic has been about community, but this one is about the Epstein stuff. These three are about it. They're a little more forward than I normally do for some of my wording. So please be aware this is obviously a very touchy subject for some people, but I am going to read these live. It's the three set so far of the Heffrey and Ronald saga. Um, and you all know who I'm talking about, and they're pretty gross. So we're going to start with the first one in the series, which is Abscise the List. And so here you go. Abscise the list. There once was a man with the name Heffrey. He kept a list. A list, you say? What list? A list full of clients for busy was he. Safeguard his list. One day it will assist. Who's on this list? A list locked deep away from eyes, wrapped so deeply in lies. Deeper this goes, causing new rifts each day. Daily they try to cut and abscise the list. Of names, Ronald, duck out outing his truth, disgustingly uncouth. Disgust we see beyond, we have no doubt. No doubt is he obsessed with girls and youth. A youth, just girls, secret they try to keep. Those girls too young try hard to bury deep. So that's part one of the series. Next, I'm going to read all three before we go into any of them. Next, we have Excise the Truth. There once was a man with the name Ronald. He slipped a list. A list, you say? What list? A list so long, wonder, is he old? Alleged it is. It has gone up in mist. Amidst we see, cover this up, no doubt. Why doubt? No doubt they hurt. Poor girls, just youth. Our eyes don't doubt, yet it may not come out. A scam AG will be, excise the truth. Excised the truth. Ronald is one to pay in blood, one steeped in virgin cries. Those cries now heard, the lie has broke this day. Daily this goes, no cue to stop the rise. Secret we see, the youth they cannot keep. Secret no more, stories they will not sleep. And finally, abscond the proof, abscond with proof. There is a list, you say? What list? A list of pain, of hurt, of lies so dark. Darkly they pray, under our eyes they twist, twisting to wrong from right, the light now stark. Starkly we see, secret there is no more. We see the truth with eyes clear of lies. Abuse they hide down deep, is at their core, a core so sick, so ill from hate despise. Despising the truth, get lost, abscond with proof. Truthless they are, they who we need to out, outing their truth, hurting those girls, just youth, a youth they stole, stolen, then cast in doubt. Doubting no more, these truths we know now reaps, doubting no more, exposing sickly creeps. And those are the three in the Ronald and Heffrey saga.
I love your wordplay and how the sounds come together, really drive the poem, all three poems forward.
Thank you.
Miranda, I've been waiting for this kind of
Thank you.
analysis. I've heard Nick read like 2 or 3 poems, and I'm just like, I'm waiting for Miranda to come in here so I can listen to her commentary.
No, I'd love to. What do you think of what do you think of them? The imagery, the I'm sure it's a hard subject, and I hate writing it.
Yeah, it is a hard subject. Um, and it's um, one of those things that it would be really easy to let it become too abstract because you're trying to avoid the emotional difficulty of writing about it. But I think that the repetition, the sound play, um, how you keep saying the list, and like we know what list that is, really keeps it honed in on what you're talking about.
Thank you, Miranda. I really appreciate that feedback. Um, and
And
I
it's
hope that
also it's always difficult to write about um, something that isn't your pain.
yeah,
Like and we should because we need um, men like you standing up for women for girls um, in situations like this, like we were talking about earlier with the community and everything. But um, a lot of times it's easy for another voice to step in and talk over or squash voices that we need to be lifting up that actually went through the horrible thing.
yeah, yeah, and
So,
I I can only see from the outside what this might be because I don't have that trauma. And I'm thankful I don't have that trauma, thank God. Or whatever deity you believe in or not believe in, like thankfully I don't. Um it's I'm trying to I'm trying to get men to listen. I want men to listen in a way that they hear it and they don't feel directly attacked, but they know because they know it's not about them, but they know that they know that person who's just that ick you get. And when you get that ick, trust it. Um, so Miranda, I
yeah,
really appreciate that. That was
like patriarchy teaches men ownership over women. And
Mhm.
so it's easy for men to, um, protect the women in their lives, maybe, but expanding that idea and having empathy for women that they don't have a relationship with matters. And
yeah,
it's difficult.
yeah. And I think it's easy to it's easy as a uh, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say. There's nothing easy about what I'm doing. I mean, it is easy. It's easy to stand up and say, no, that's wrong, because I know it's right and what's wrong. I think the thing that would cause me to not be able to, part of it is selfish, is I want to be able to look at my daughter when she's an adult and go, I stood for you and your rights, and I made sure that you had those rights, but also nobody else had to go through that. Like I moved from a state where my daughter had and my wife had equal rights and equal protection to Arkansas. Like I now live in Arkansas and they don't have equal rights and protections here. And I
Yeah.
think that's
I'm
horribly
from
fucking
Oklahoma, so
wrong.
I know
Oh,
Arkansas pretty well.
yeah. And you guys are even worse in Oklahoma. Like it's like, ugh. Um, and I know a lot of folks in Oklahoma and I love the state. It's beautiful. There's beautiful people out there. There's amazing folks who are just being taught hate instead of love, and they don't like themselves enough to like other people. And so they
Yeah.
throw that. hate outwards. So I wanna close this out today with just a message of one, Miranda, thank you for jumping on with me. And Wendy, I appreciate you listening to the poetry. I'm glad I finally got you in. You'll have to come back for more.
I will tell you, if you're going to read poetry, you need to read it for that one, because that one's going to give you an opinion. I'm just going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you it's beautiful. And can I send you a copy of Goodnight Moon? And will you read it to me every night, please?
Same with Lawrence. You'll get opposing nights. No, I'll read books out loud. As long as they're not in copyright infringement and they're public domain books. I don't think we have to worry about that too badly. I don't remember copyright law on that. But I thank you both for coming in. I think everyone who showed up today, please consider subscribing to all three of us. I'm a newer account, and I'd love to support in any way, free or paid. One thing I did just offer, I want to announce this because I put it on a note the other day. Is anyone who wants to become a founding subscriber to my publication, I will write you a poem of your choosing as part of your founding membership. And if not, that's okay, because I'm going to be writing poetry every day, coming on live more with Wendy, and hopefully get some time with Miranda as well to discuss poetry and lyricism and how she works and what she writes about. I'd love to get you on the show and just come and hang out. So thanks everyone for being here. Wendy, any last words from you before we go?
No, I don't.
Awesome. Thanks everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see y'all again soon. Wendy, do you mind grabbing the chat for me?
Yeah. Here, let me.
Bad at this.
Thanks,
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. You're good.